As you can see in this RT article from April of 2018, the Bolivian ambassador to the United Nations said the threat by the United States to use force in Syria undermines international law and the entire United Nations system, and the article was included in a video report you can now find linked up on biblicalresearchlabs.com in a post called The Breaking of the Great Horn of the He-Goat. The He-Goat is the shadow government of the Kenites, and the Great Horn of the He-Goat is the United Nations, in my opinion. This is all explained in the videos you'll find linked up on the page, The Breaking of the Great Horn of the He-Goat, on biblicalresearchlabs.com. Going back to when Trump announced the U.S. withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement, which is part of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, the ultimate eventuality being a global carbon tax, the raiser of taxes written of in Daniel 11:20, in my opinion. But the subject there is the one who sends a raiser of taxes, which was obviously the United Nations. And a few days, which means a few years after it sent the raiser of taxes, so to speak, it's destroyed, neither in anger nor in battle. That word destroyed is the same word as broken in Daniel chapter 8 verse 8. So the great horn of the he-goat and the one who sends a raiser of taxes are one and the same, the United Nations, in my opinion. Then, as you can see, Trump recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Kenite-occupied Israel, resulting in the United Nations voting for the U.S. to reverse that declaration, which resulted in the United States announcing a $285 million budget cut at the end of 2017. Then, after the U.S. withdrawal from the UN Human Rights Council, we saw this article, the UN running out of cash, which brings us up to this article from October 11th, 2019, facing cash flow crisis, the United Nations cuts hiring, heating, escalators, and the AC, and said it was quickly running out of cash because a number of countries, chiefly the United States, have not paid their annual assessments. This article from the 8th of October says the United Nations could run out of money in a few weeks, Secretary General warns, and then this article says U.S. delinquent on payments as United Nations faces worst cash crisis in a decade. So if the United Nations is the great horn of the he-goat written of in Daniel chapter 8 verse 8, once it's broken, so to speak, is when the four beasts of Daniel chapter 7 come up for it toward the four winds of heaven, which always means the 5-month-long hour of temptation. In this case, at the beginning of it, at the woe of the fifth trumpet, when Satan and his angels are cast from heaven to earth, which could even be perceived as an alien invasion, which would cause an instant one-world political system. But whether or not that's how it happens remains to be seen. What we do know for certain is once the one-world political system, which is still yet future, comes into being, shortly thereafter it's wounded to death, after which Satan appears as Antichrist at the woe of the sixth trumpet, which is when it goes from being a one-world political system to a one-world religious system. The true Christ doesn't return at all until the woe of the seventh trumpet, and as the true Christ says in the last verse of Mark chapter 13, what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch.